This morning I sprinted towards a comic collection I saw on Facebook Marketplace, and when I got there I was faced with a decision. Buy 2 books or buy 600 books. I hope I made the right decision. Welcome to the Paper Chase channel. We have a lot of fun here on the channel, and one of the most fun videos we have is always a nice collection buy. So as I said in the intro, I woke up, I saw this photo on Facebook Marketplace, and I got there ASAP. Because the first rule of buying comic collections is,
you ain't first, you're last.
before we dive any further into this video, if you do want to support the channel, you can do that simply by just hitting the like button on the screen. And if you don't, that's cool. I appreciate you watching this anyway. The person lives only about 20 minutes away from me, so I hop in my car and I head to his house. All right, we are heading down to this collection that we're gonna go check out, but maybe it's gonna pay off. We don't know yet. We will find out. I'll ask the guy if I can film a little bit whenever we get there. If not, oh well, no worries, but we'll see. All right, so there you saw some footage of these guys that had this stuff in the garage. According to these fellas here, they do like kind of landscaping work and a lot of construction type of stuff. They ended up finding all of these comic books in an attic. They had told me that this guy had over $1 million in comic books in his attic, and the roof caved in and saturated probably 60-70% of it. And what is on the table here is what was salvaged. There actually ended up being 2 guys in this transaction that were negotiating with me. And one of them came in about 45 minutes later and said that he kept on going back into that attic just to look for a Hulk 181. Now, these are not comic book people whatsoever, but these are people that are actually doing the research and trying to put into work to figure out, okay, what's the best way to maximize the value of what they're finding here? So I'm kind of circling the table. We're both kind of chatting. I'm picking up stacks of books. There were definitely key issues in there, and I'll go ahead and list them off if I can start to think of them. A lot of Bronze, Silver Age, and a lot of Copper stuff. He had 2 Star Wars #1s that weren't in the greatest of shape. He had a few earlier X-Men early 100 issues, like around issue 105. So the time came where I've pretty much seen all that I needed to see, and I had to make a decision. Now, his initial price for $6,500 was completely out of the realm of possibility. There weren't very many giant, big old life-changing keys in here. So eventually I started talking him down. I gave him my best offer. My best offer on the collection was $1,500, and that was it. And it was right around this point, his other friend, who they're kind of working it together with, comes in, and he's like, the other guy that came in, he didn't want nothing to do with it. He didn't want it. The conditions all messed up on him and this and that. The good cop came in, and he's kind of checking the bad cop, and he's like saying, look, it's kind of a mess, what we got here. It is sought after, but the condition is definitely holding us up. Then he goes further. He's like, well, I know I can get $4,000 for everything that's on this table. The other few issues that were in there was first appearance of Norman Osborn, first John Romita on Spider-Man. So we're kind of getting towards the end of the negotiation. I don't even know if I want this now for the $1,500. I always love to give advice to people, even though I'm not going to be buying the collection from them. I kind of gave him a breakdown on what some of these larger issues were doing with grades, as far as this defect is probably going to drop this book to this grade and such. He had definitely done some research on a lot of these issues already, and he knew what the more valuable books were in the collection. But he was kind of looking for my guidance on the grading and how the grading would affect the pricing. So as the other guy comes in, and at this point, I'm pretty much about to just kind of walk out. But he knows my eye was set on 1 or 2 books. And his buddy's like, well, shoot, he's like, sell it to the man. Sell the books, Start making some sort of money. So the guy's like, all right, he's like, yeah, you can buy whatever you want. There was a lot there to choose from. So I picked up 2 books. He went to eBay. He looked at both of them. We talked about the potential grades for each books and gave me a price, and we made the deal. The final offer on the mass amount of books was $3,000, which actually was pretty tempting considering there were still some good books in good conditions and some very sought after books in poor condition. So $3,000 was his final offer. I turned it down and I only bought 2 books. First book that I bought was Avengers Annual 10. This is the first appearance of Rogue in comics. Condition-wise on it, it does have a bit of a dust shadow right here, and it's got a small crease right there on the corner. So I'm thinking this thing, other than that, it's structurally in very, very good shape. So I'm thinking this thing right here could probably grade out at about, if I don't get rid of the dust shadow, this thing could probably grade out at around the 7.5 to 8.0. Second book that I bought from him was the book that really led me there in the first place. And this is a grail that this is my own personal grail that I actually acquired very recently from Dark Claw, friend of the channel. I got A Tomb of Dracula #1. I was dying to get just one of these for the past year. And all of a sudden in the past week, I've got 2 of them now. Now, the only thing really wrong with this book is there's a small chip out the corner here and a very small crease here with a couple of light tears. Other than that, this book is in great shape, but I still think those defects are probably going to drop this book down to like the 6.5 range. So we kind of talked pricing. We kind of talked what if it hits this grade. Though, even though selling a raw book, it doesn't matter. You got to talk raw prices. So we came to a conclusion on what he wanted to let these go for. And that total amount was $250. So $250 for 2 books, or $3,000 for everything that you see on these tables here. I want to know in the comments below, what do you think? What would you have done? Would you have put in the work for the mass amount of books, or would you have just went straight to the chase and bought what you wanted? As always, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hit like on your way out, and we'll see you on the next page.